Hey, what is up, YouTube? Rules for Rebels here. So today is a little bit of a gripe on my part as well as a warning to you guys. So if you guys sell any MLB, Major League Baseball, or NFL merchandise, I would highly recommend you remove your listings from both eBay and Amazon. I'm not sure about, NHL and soccer and everything else, but specifically, Major League Baseball is going through a big kind of purging of trying to get everybody to stop selling their merchandise online. And I've heard NFL is doing the same thing. Typically, I don't really get into selling branded stuff. I don't get into selling memorabilia, NHL, MLB stuff for this very reason, because of all the nonsense that goes on. You'll get your listings taken down even if you're selling authentic merchandise. It's just a bunch of headaches. I've told you guys that before, and I kind of went against my own rule. And when the Cubs won the World Series, first time in 100 years, not only are there a lot of Cubs fans in Chicago, obviously, but the Cubs, because they're played on, TBS, tend to have a pretty big following across the country. So me and my business partner thought, we had a connection to some, Cubs memorabilia. And with the Cubs winning the World Series, we said, hey, we're going to sell some of this stuff, right? So I get my first Amazon policy violation. It was a couple days ago. This was on the 16th. It's the 20th today. And it says, we are contacting you because we received a report of copyright infringement. Now, I was not copyright infringing. I bought this stuff from a licensed authorized distributor who bought it from a manufacturer who pays MLB the rights to this. And I'll get into why this is such nonsense in a second, because Amazon is actually violating their own policy, being the Amazon police here. But let's read on. So sellers on Amazon.com are not allowed to create listings or detail pages that infringe copyright. We removed the content listed at the end of this email. We may let you list content again if we receive a contradiction of the complaint from MLB owner. Their contact information can be found below, MLB enforcement, and that's their email. Basically, MLB hires this company, OPSEC Security, to basically police the internet for them. And this is kind of a good lesson for any of you guys who are buying like Minecraft or Star Wars or Disney stuff off of AliExpress and trying to resell it. These big companies, they want to protect their brand, and they do have people policing the internet. Unfortunately, MLB Security and OPSEC is completely full of shit here, because the stuff, the MLB does have a policy recently that they don't want their stuff being sold on eBay and Amazon. But how they want their stuff distributed versus stuff being counterfeit are two completely different things. So let's read on. If the rights owner agrees to retract their complaint, they must send the retraction to us, notice-dispute@amazon.com. If you believe that the reported content does not infringe on the right owner's copyright, you may email notice-dispute@amazon.com with supporting information or a DMCA counter notice if appropriate. We consider allegations of intellectual property infringement a serious matter, and your account is under review. If we receive more complaints about your listings, we may not allow you to sell on Amazon.com. And I blocked out the actual complaint ID and everything else. But I'm going to pause the video for a second. We're going to hop over to a couple threads going on this very topic, and I'll tell you why this is such BS. Okay, so I'll tell you guys a little bit about how when a company wants to distribute their things through like authorized, licensed, whatever distributors, here's typically how it works. So MLB will basically allow the Fremont Dye Company to pay them X amount of money to make car flags or t-shirts or whatever else, right? Now, MLB just recently, I believe, enacted a policy that they don't want their stuff being sold on eBay and Amazon. So typically how it will work is if the MLB sees their stuff being sold on eBay and Amazon, they'll basically do a test order it, and I believe somehow from the stickers on the stuff from UPCs or whatever, they can basically tell which distributor sold that merchandise. Well, MLB is then going to contact that distributor and say, hey, one of the people that you're selling to is violating the distribution policy. Typically, like even if you're going through a third-party company, a lot of times you'll have to sign the MLB agreement that states where and how you can sell things, etc. But let's just be very clear about the fact that how MLB wants their stuff distributed is completely separate from whether stuff is licensed merchandise. So here's somebody on the Amazon seller forums basically saying 20 to 30 of my ASNI, I can't even say it. You guys know what I'm talking about. 20 or 30 of my listings were removed. So if we go down here, let's look at what Amazon policy actually says. So here's Man commented, he says, correct. This is the policy, and Amazon policy specifically states that they do not get between these issues. If a product is legitimately obtained, and like I said, the stuff that I bought, it has MLB official holograms on it. I bought it from a distributor who bought it directly from the manufacturer. It is licensed merchandise. So basically, how does Amazon basically become the police of the MLB? The new MLB policy states no third-party marketplace sales allowed. So if you want to buy Major League Baseball stuff and sell it on, Jim's MLBshop.com, that's perfectly fine. However, you're not allowed to sell it on eBay or Amazon or Etsy or whatever else. It says, we reserve the right to contact your supplier and tell them to cut you off if deemed necessary. So just like I said, if I'm selling MLB stuff and MLB orders from me, they're basically going to contact the distributor I buy from, and the distributor is going to figure out that it was me that was selling it, and they're going to be like, hey, dude, we can't sell to you anymore, MLB, caught you, basically. Here is the Amazon policy. Exclusive or selective distribution. Amazon respects a manufacturer's right to enter into exclusive distribution agreements for its products. However, violations of such agreements do not constitute intellectual property infringement, as the enforcement of these agreements is a matter between the manufacturer and the retailers. It would not be appropriate for Amazon to assist in enforcement activities. So if the MLB has an issue with a small mom-and-pop sports retailer that has been buying and selling licensed legit sports patches for years, then they have to tell the supplier not to sell to these retailers. If Amazon does this to MLB sellers, regardless of if they follow the policy. So basically, Amazon themselves says that they're not going to enforce this stuff, and it's not going to be considered intellectual infringement because the stuff was legitimately bought. I paid a much higher price for MLB licensed stuff as opposed to if I just went to AliExpress and ordered unlicensed stuff. So I hope I'm being clear about the fact that this stuff is not counterfeit. There's another Reddit post about it recently. Well, it's finally happened. I sell brand new, officially licensed sports-themed items. I got a notice from vendors recently that the NFL and MLB were both instituting a policy that their items would no longer be sold on third-party sites like Amazon and eBay. Vendors could still offer their products to small businesses or through their own websites, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, guys, my warning to you is if you're selling anything, either Major League Baseball or National Football League, take down the listings before you get a policy violation. I don't know how eBay is going to be policing this. Amazon, as we can see, has decided to be the MLB's puppet and is basically not only acting as an enforcement arm for the MLB, which goes directly against Amazon's policy, but they are also considering this copyright infringement or intellectual rights infringement, even though the stuff I was selling is completely legit, legal, bought from authorized manufacturers. So, like I said, I went against my better judgment by even selling this garbage in the first place. I'll never buy anything from the NFL or MLB again. And do a quick Google search on it, guys. Let's see. Amazon policy MLB. You'll see a bunch of Seller Central things about this. I felt bad. There was one guy who had like 50,000 items that he'd bought to sell on eBay and Amazon. He's been doing it for years. It was completely allowed and legal. This guy, I believe, does have a brick and mortar shop and has his own online website. However, obviously, he's not doing nearly the amount of volume through just his own website or his retail shop as he is doing on Amazon. So he basically, I believe he said he had like 50,000 listings taken down. He's now sitting on all this merchandise that is probably going to take him the next 10 years to sell. Teams are going to be changing their logos before he even sells through all this stuff. So if you guys are selling stuff on MLB or NFL stuff on Amazon or eBay, I'd suggest taking it down immediately. I also just wanted to comment on how Amazon is violating their own policies by considering, basically a disagreement over distribution rights to basically be intellectual copyright infringement. So if any of you guys have run into this problem yourself, please drop a comment below if I'm leaving anything out or if you know anything else. If you're not subscribed to the channel, guys, please subscribe. Drop a comment if you have anything to add to this. If I maybe saved you from getting a Amazon policy violation, give me a thumbs up. But yeah, curious to hear what you guys think about this. Is this right? Is this fair? But again, like I said, guys, I've always said stay away from name brand stuff. Don't sell things that are gated. And I went against my own advice here. So fortunately, I was able to sell a lot of it. I am sitting on a bunch of MLB stuff that I'm not going to be able to sell. it's not worth me opening up an MLB shop or a baseball themed store just to sell out of my last 20 or 30 pieces of inventory. So basically, at this point, I'm just gonna eat, basically eat it, and it's a lost inventory. Maybe I'll give them out to friends and family for Christmas or something. But yeah, kind of annoyed by that. I'm gonna hit up Amazon and appeal or reject this because it does fly in the face of Amazon's listed policies. But yeah, guys, that's the video for today. Just wanted to gripe about that. That's my first Amazon policy violation ever for kind of a stupid reason. So we'll see if I can get it removed. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next video.